Ever since the election of Stephen Harper to Parliament, under what I would consider fraudulent grounds given the election misconduct that was carried out, Harper has reminded us again and again about Canadian sovereignty and how we must defend Canadian sovereignty, and why we must begin the militarization of the North, because, after all, somebody found something valuable in the Arctic, so we must lay our claim onto those resources as fast as possible. Why not? All the other countries around the world who have some kind of connection to the Arctic are claiming that as well. After all, why not? We live in a capitalist imperialist system, and first come, first served to take the resources and exploit them, and then funnel them towards the profits of the wealthy elite, the global wealthy elite, and towards the benefit of the First World while the Third World suffers. Again, a situation like this could be easily avoided by distributing the resources as according to need rather than profits, but then we wouldn't be living in the capitalist imperialist system. Now, aside from that, Stephen Harper has on numerous occasions reminded us that we are Canada and that we are strong, we are proud, and that we are independent of any other country, and that we have our own interests that we should be seeking around the world and not following the whims of others, and that our sovereignty is one of our key strengths and is something that the Liberals have previously, as they ran the country for about 12 years, had ignored, supposedly. Now, in reality, there is a stark contrast between what he is saying and what he is actually doing. During that time, Stephen Harper has repeatedly threatened our sovereignty by continually Britanizing things that we have, attempting to bring the Union Jack back in various places, renaming various military organizations, bringing the word royal back into it, strengthening our ties with the UK government, and all kinds of other royal pomp that were once seen as, well, backward and meaningless and a symbol of the dictatorial power that, through the law, the Queen still does exercise over our country. And then while all of this was going on, Stephen Harper was making nice with the U.S. administration. It doesn't matter what president would have been in the White House, it would have been the same. So as he's speaking so passionately about our national sovereignty, he's completely selling this entire country to the interests of the U.S. ruling elite. Not to mention the fact that the things that make us uniquely Canadian as opposed to American are things that he's very quietly and sometimes very loudly trying to stamp out. Killing our state broadcaster, which is highly respected around the world in terms of bourgeois media, is actually very, very good. It's still ruling class, but it's still a very good media outlet. His continued and repeated assaults upon our healthcare system, one of the greatest achievements that this country has made in terms of human rights, is slowly being reversed by the Harper regime. And not to mention our usual non-militaristic stance, our usual stance of peacekeeping, which has always been a very large cover for our own imperialist actions. He's now currently trying to bring those out into the open and suggesting that we should become a more militarized nation, has been purchasing more military goods for our country to try to reverse not this opinion of our country, but to change the actual manner in which we perform. That we will no longer be the peacekeepers, but will be somewhat of the very little brother of the imperialist power next door like the United States. Now, as he gives all these great speeches and applauding us for the War of 1812 and all the nationalist pomp that's coming up as a result of the 200 years anniversary of all of this happening. Even where I live, there's going to be a 200-year anniversary for various battles that took place during the war in which we maintained our independence from the United States. It's very interesting to notice all of this and to see how quickly our country is being sold right back to U.S. interests. And, ironically enough, UK interests as well. Now, what a lot of people don't know is that there's another serious attack on our sovereignty that's actually going very quietly. And that threat is coming from China. There have been tons of events where China has been either caught snooping into our business, have been hacking into our computer systems, have been gaining influence with our politicians and trying to get secrets out of them, and these have gone mostly unnoticed. Now, why is it that the Harper government, who decries China as a human rights abuser, despite the fact that we have our own citations for human rights abuses that are also going mysteriously disappearing in the media, Despite his railing against China and how bad it may or may not be given what he says, why is he looking the other way as China virtually invades our country, is interfering with our unique Canadian interests, and even going so far as to hack into the computer systems of the federal government? Yet this is going unnoticed. The CSIS director says that foreign governments, particularly Chinese, are infiltrating us at all levels. Provincial, federal, even some as little as little municipal, local levels. The Chinese, in various ways, are trying to gain access to our system and our information that we would particularly not like to keep public. For example, the Calgary-based Televan Canada Limited, which is owned by a French company, Schneider Fletcher Electric SA, was recently hacked, and from the information that was made available to CSIS, though it was never made public, shows that it was most likely China that was actually carrying out the operations of hacking that business. Now this is a big deal because our oil fields, our oil industry is of great interest to many countries, China as well, what with the upcoming Nexen deal and everything that entails that. Now, a former conservative, Rahim Jaffer, sought secret information about Canadian military satellite technology after meeting with a state-owned Chinese technology companies in China in 2010. A former conservative MP was looking into secret Canadian satellite technology while he was meeting with Chinese technological companies. I mean, this should have been sprayed all over the front of the news. But instead it very quietly went away when a lawsuit involving Jaffer's wife came up, in which the Conservative Party, in my opinion, slandered her and created a whole ton of lies, ruining her career, and most probably was done to cover up incidents like this. It's even gone to the point where it appears that the Chinese have infiltrated the Conservative Party. This is a very serious problem. The Foreign Affairs Parliamentary Secretary Bob Deckert was found in a relationship with Shi Rong, a Xinhua news agency woman, the Canadian office of the state-owned news broadcaster. Now, Ling Fangzhe, a former Chinese Ministry of a former Chinese Minister of State Security, said this was likely some kind of intelligence gathering mission, and that's maybe what she was actually there for and why she had built up a relationship with this man. This is not an uncommon tactic to use, what's referred to by some as sexual spying. Getting a woman to infiltrate somewhere, form a sexual relationship, and use that to get information. After all, one of the countries that is very, very good at this is, in fact, Israel. And some of their female agents have infiltrated to some of the highest positions in the entire world merely for the purpose of spying. But in this case, it may seem like the Chinese were actually the ones doing this at that time. Now, Chinese hackers are not only attacked, we only have proof that Chinese hackers have attacked key federal institutions. They've also cracked into the computer system of the House of Commons, and they have also gone after and influenced and hacked members of parliament who have large ethnic Chinese constituencies. And this is also very disconcerting. This is also a major problem that is not really being dealt with. This is not being made out there for everyone to see and for everyone to very critically take a look at. And it's very suspicious. Now, what we do when we step back and we take a look at the numbers, we actually see that Canada ranks very, very low in terms of cybersecurity spending. The United States spends about an estimated $55 billion, Britain spends an estimated $1 billion, and Canada spends a very, very small $90 million. Now, what's very frightening about this is that nothing is actually being done about it. In fact, CSIS has been ordered on more than one occasion to not give out that kind of information. That kind of information on who is doing what to us and what proof we have of it is actually orders are being given to CSIS to actually refuse to give that out. And that's very disconcerting. Not only are we being kept from knowing what's happening, nothing is being done that we can at least see about what has happened. That's frightening to a lot of people, and that's not being made public for us to see. What I'm wondering is just what the hell Stephen Harper is actually doing. I don't think that Stephen Harper is selling us out to the Chinese. I just don't foresee that ever happening. I'm just wondering what's going on. He's very happy to basically turn us right back into a British colony. He's making a mad drive towards turning us practically into another U.S. state and forming the tightest, most sovereignty-crippling deals that he could possibly make with the U.S. government. And now it appears that the Chinese are doing all kinds of things to this country that we're not even being allowed to know about. So I'm wondering what exactly is going on in Stephen Harper's mind here. I can understand selling our sovereignty to the U.S. I can understand the pomp and the frankly kissing up and selling us out to British royalty, to the Commonwealth, and to the Crown. But I don't understand this. Why is this very real and immediate threat to our sovereignty not being acknowledged? This is frightening. And I can't think of why this could possibly be happening. I don't believe that Stephen Harper or the Harper regime is incompetent in any way, that they wouldn't be able to do something about this. And I can't believe that they don't want to do something about this. I just don't understand what's going on. What I do know is that I could only imagine what they would be saying if it were a liberal government in power right now and this same violation of our sovereignty was going on. They would be making all kinds of accusations, probably along the lines of the liberals are selling us out to the Chinese, they have no backbone, they're cowards, they're afraid. I can only even imagine what would happen if the NDP was in a majority, if they were running the country when this was going on. They already think that the NDP are communists as it is, when in reality they're social democrats. Could you imagine what they would be thinking, or what they would be going out onto the air saying if this were happening while the NDP was in power? They'd be saying that this is proof that the NDP are communists and they're selling us out to communist China. It's weird. I can't seem to figure out what's actually going on. And if by some chance Stephen Harper would actually see this, Harper, get it together. Stop thinking about the war in Afghanistan. Stop trying to push us towards a war in Iran. We are being attacked right here, right now, by another country. Could you please focus on that?